Let's open the book on this. What band from Iowa masks its members, has 9 faces, and drums up chaos on stage? Stay tuned to find out. Hi, I'm Leah, feeling pumped up today?
And I'm Garrett, excited to dig into this topic. Welcome to Laid Back Learning with Leah and Garrett.
Today's topic is Slipknot, the iconic heavy metal band known for their masks, their 9-strong lineup, and that absolutely magnetic live mayhem. Picture this. I'm at an arena show, shoulder to shoulder with strangers who know every word. Lights cut, the siren noise swells, and then 9 masked figures hit like a thunderclap. 2 percussionists are slamming on kegs, the drummer locks in, and I'm just swept up in it. I remember feeling this mix of awe and adrenaline, like, wow, this is theater and therapy in one. That night made me appreciate how intentional their chaos is, right down to the visuals and the pacing of the set.
All right, let's set the stage for this one. Slipknot is a heavy metal band. Loud guitars, pounding rhythms, and aggressive vocals, and they blend that sound with theatrical performance. Think of them as a metal circus, where each person brings a different instrument and persona, and the show is designed to hit you in waves. Their signature twist is the multi-percussion setup, a traditional drum kit in the center, plus 2 custom percussionists, adding metallic textures and polyrhythms, meaning intertwined, overlapping rhythms that make everything feel massive. They also use a sampler and turntables live. A sampler is basically a station where a member can trigger recorded sounds and effects, helping recreate studio layers on stage. Couple that with masks tied to each album cycle, pyro, and elaborate staging, and you've got a band that's as much an immersive experience as it is a set of songs.
Let's dig into this. Slipknot formed in Des Moines, Iowa in 1995. The earliest nucleus was percussionist Sean Crahan, vocalist Anders Kulsefny, and bassist Paul Gray. They briefly used other names, the Pale Ones, and even debuted as Meld, before landing on Slipknot. The name actually came from an early song they'd worked on years before. Behind the scenes, they were meeting at a Sinclair gas station where drummer Joey Jordison worked, and Joey mapped out ideas there with Paul and Sean late at night. That origin story says a lot, very DIY, very intentional. They self-financed early recordings, about $40,000 to record at SR Audio in 1995, which is huge for an unsigned extreme metal act. They put out Mate, Feed, Kill, Repeat on Halloween 1996. Along the way, guitarist Donnie Steele left over lyric concerns. Craig Jones came in on guitar, then shifted to sampler and keys once they realized they needed someone to handle electronics live. Mick Thompson joined on guitar to round that out, and by 1997, they brought in Corey Taylor from Stone Sour as lead vocalist. Corey brought a mix of melody and bite, and Anders moved to percussion and backing vocals before departing later that year.
Early 1998 is a turning point. Producer Ross Robinson, known for capturing raw intensity, saw them rehearse and offered to produce their debut. They refined the 9-person concept, added DJ Sid Wilson on turntables, and weathered a couple more percussion seat changes. Roadrunner Records came in with a major 7-album deal worth about $500,000. Not gonna lie, that's a serious vote of confidence for a band this heavy. They headed to Malibu to record, and during the process, early guitarist Josh Brainard bowed out. Jim Root, who had ties to the Des Moines scene via bands like Atomic Opera and later Stone Sour, stepped in on guitar, basically completing the classic 9 by the time the album cycle ramped up. Oddsfest 1999 put them in front of massive crowds. Then their self-titled debut dropped in June 1999 with singles like Wait and Bleed and Spit It Out. It became Roadrunner's first ever platinum record. That's pretty cool, right? The masked 9-person lineup, with 2 additional percussionists, a sampler, and a DJ, felt like a shockwave. The live show had pits, pyro, and that sense of ritual. You could almost feel the blueprint of modern heavy festival culture forming around their sets.
Next up, 2001's Iowa. They recorded amid serious internal strain, but that tension fed into an even darker, heavier album. It peaked at 3 in the US and hit number 1 in the UK. They toured hard, even popped up in the 2002 movie Rollerball performing I Am Hated. Then came a hiatus in 2002, with members doing side projects. Corey Taylor and Jim Root returned to Stone Sour. Joey Jordison did Murder Dolls. Sean Crahan explored To My Surprise and later Dirty Little Rabbits. Sid Wilson released DJ Starscream material. Those breaks were like pressure valves, letting them reset between cycles. They regrouped for 2004's Volume 3, The Subliminal Verses, with producer Rick Rubin, who's known for drawing out dynamics and breadth. That album broadened their sound with atmosphere and melody. Before I Forget earned them a Grammy in 2006. In the middle of it, they captured the onstage chaos with 9.0, live in 2005, and the voluminal Inside the Nine DVD in 2006 gave a raw, behind-the-scenes feel. All Hope Is Gone arrived in 2008, produced by Dave Fortman, debuting at #1 in the US. During those sessions, 4 members, Sean, Corey, Jim, and Sid, tracked a side set of songs later referred to as Look Outside Your Window, described as having a Radiohead vibe but not a Slipknot album proper.
Then a devastating moment came in 2010 when bassist and co-founder Paul Gray passed away. The band honored him publicly and later released the Thickness's video album featuring their 2009 download set. In 2011, they returned to the stage with Donnie Steele, the original guitarist, quietly playing bass off stage. It was a thoughtful balance of tribute and continuity. They kept their history in focus with the 2012 Antennas to Hell compilation and launched Knotfest that same year, a festival brand they curated, complete with a Slipknot museum. That move really cemented them not just as performers, but as organizers shaping heavy music culture.
By 2014, they returned with Point 5, the Gray chapter, named to honor Paul Gray. The rollout was cryptic. The -1 arrived first with a stark, memberless video, then The Devil in I introduced new masks. Fans did some detective work and eventually touring materials confirmed Alessandro Venturella on bass and Jay Weinberg on drums. The Masked Mystery playbook kept rolling in 2019 when percussionist Chris Fenn's lawsuit coincided with a lineup change and a new, then unnamed percussionist appeared. Fans dubbed him Tortilla Man, later identified as Michael Pfaff. That same 2019 cycle yielded We Are Not Your Kind, with tracks like Unsainted and the Solway Firth video that wove in scenes from the TV series The Boys.
Their 7th album, The End, so far, landed in 2022 and closed their decades-long chapter with Roadrunner Records. They also kept up with their cryptic messaging style. The Chapeltown Rag had that breadcrumb web tease. In 2023, posts about parting ways with sampler Craig Jones and later drummer Jay Weinberg appeared and were quickly deleted, and a masked stand-in took the sampler role on stage. In 2024, Eloy Casagrande, formerly of Sepultura, debuted as Slipknot's drummer at a California warm-up show. Through all the twists, the through line stayed the same: aggressive music, elaborate visuals, and a live show that feels like controlled detonation.
Here's where it gets really interesting. Let's talk about the ambiguous reasons behind Joey Jordison's departure in 2013. Joey, the original drummer and a key songwriter, left under a cloud of confusion. The band said personal reasons. Joey later said he didn't quit and was shocked. In 2016, he revealed he had transverse myelitis, an inflammation of the spinal cord that can disrupt motor control. Even with that detail, nobody delivered a unified, blow-by-blow account of how and why the split happened when it did. That leaves a genuine gray area.
Yeah, I've always thought it was a mix. Health challenges likely affected rehearsal and touring capacity, and creative direction may have been shifting at the same time. When a band is writing a new record, especially a band this complex, roles can subtly change. If you add in a serious medical condition that isn't fully diagnosed or public yet, it can scramble communication. So my take is overlapping factors, imperfect timing, and different perspectives on what was said in the room. That's a tough combo to unwind cleanly.
I hear you. I lean more toward internal dynamics and management logistics. Slipknot had become a large enterprise by then, with multiple business entities, major tours, and a brand to protect. In that environment, decisions can be made quickly, sometimes with half information, especially if the clock is ticking on studio time or a tour kickoff. If health realities weren't fully communicated or fully understood, then administrative decisions might have outpaced the human conversation. Why else would public statements and later personal accounts feel out of sync?
Fair. And not gonna lie, bands aren't always equipped to handle complex medical disclosures, especially when pride and privacy are involved. Add creative friction, questions of who writes what and how the drums should sound after Iowa and after Volume 3, and it becomes a layered negotiation. I don't think there's a single villain here, more like a set of stressors pulling in different directions at once.
Real talk. The fact that fans still debate it shows how much Joey meant to people. His drumming helped define the band's early identity. I wish the timeline and rationale were clearer, but sometimes in high-pressure creative worlds, clarity arrives late or not at all. What matters to me is acknowledging the ambiguity and the impact he had regardless.
Speaking of impact, Slipknot seeped into pop culture in a ton of ways. They were in the Rollerball remake, had My Plague on the Resident Evil soundtrack, Before I Forget showed up in Guitar Hero 3, and they even teased new masks on late-night TV. The Solway Firth video splicing in the boys' footage was a slick crossover. I could get behind a full-on film that traces their mask lore across album eras while intercutting the logistics of touring, a kind of heist movie pace, but for building a stage show in 12 hours flat.
All right, on to the next. What if Paul Gray hadn't died in 2010? Paul was central to the songwriting chemistry. I think the fifth album's direction might have leaned differently. Maybe fewer delays, maybe a smoother handoff between brutal and melodic passages. The emotional weight of losing him clearly shaped Point 5, the Gray chapter. Without that loss, the sound could have evolved with less grief in the room and possibly a more continuous timeline of releases.
Yeah, that checks out. Paul had this grounding effect. I could imagine the lineup staying more stable, with fewer question marks around bass and rhythm section identity. Musically, I think the band still experiments. Volume 3 already showed that. But with Paul steering from within, maybe the pendulum swings between extremity and atmosphere would feel more like chapters in the same book rather than course corrections after long pauses. And Knotfest's growth might have intertwined even tighter with the studio side, since the core writing brain trust would be intact.
Let's not let this one slide by. Even in that alternate path, Slipknot thrives on tension and release, so I don't think they suddenly become a mellow band. Instead, I picture more confident risk-taking, like dialing up the atmospheric instincts from Volume 3 while preserving Iowa-level ferocity for set-piece tracks. And maybe fewer stop-start cycles. Continuity can be a creative accelerant when trust is high.
Thanks for tuning in to Laid Back Learning with Leah and Garrett. Keep exploring and stay curious.